previous session we have talked about these different the theoretical models and the leaders for tomorrow. That is what are the attributes are required and how to develop the leaders for tomorrow. And we have taken certain industry examples also. What are their practices? Now we will talk about the attribute of the person, this leader. In attributes, like last time the first parameter, which was very important, and that parameter was about the internality. And when we talk about the internality, that is about the grand vision and competency of that particular leader. That is the how this great leadership can be developed. What attributes are required. So, in this session we will talk about the great man theory, interpersonal effectiveness, leadership attributes, core self evaluation, self monitoring, proactive personality, leadership requirement model. As usual, the case study, research papers and the book recommendations will be there. So, when we talk about the watch your thoughts for they become words, watch your words for they become actions, watch your actions for they become habits, watch your habits for they become character, and watch your character for it becomes your destiny is there. So, ultimately it is a question of your thought process, right. So, and as I always mention, that is the how the thought process are influenced, thought processes are influenced by the heredity, environment and situation. So, create that environment in which you are able to learn. So, first how this great man theory is relevant for this particular concept. The earliest leadership theories, the great man theory came to light in the 19th century. It was attributed to a historian named Thomas Carlyle, who developed it as a great extent. He believed that the history of the world is the biography of the great man is there. One of the earliest leadership theories in this great man's theory, the leadership suggests that some people are born to lead, and great leaders cannot be made because the leaders qualities are innate. We have talked about this thing in the our very earlier sessions. That is what is about this whether the leaders are born or leaders are made. Whenever we are talking about that is the leaders are made, then definitely in that case we are talking about these theories, this classroom teaching and the work experience also, or the experiential learning you can say. And therefore, in that case this great man theory suggests that they are born to lead is there, and cannot be made because leadership qualities are innate. So, that characteristics are like for example, the charismatic characteristics. We have talked about that charismatic leadership, then the transactional leadership and transformational leadership. So, that has to be developed. Intelligence of the individual, political skills and the wisdom and some of the natural qualities of a successful leader are there. And therefore, in that case, whenever we are talking about this particular theory, so this theory centers on two main assumptions. The first is every great leader is born with traits that prepare them to rise and lead, right. So, this is in the support of the trait theories. So, inborn leadership qualities are enough for individuals to exercise the influence over others. You see from the childhood only. Like whenever we are talking about that Chanakya has selected the Chandragupta, how he has selected the Chandragupta, and then we talk about that is the from the observation where he has found those traits have been found. So, the Chandragupta is outcome of the trait theories and the contingency theory, situations theory, where the environment was provided and skills have been developed. So, here the people become the great leaders when there is a need. So, here the individuals become leaders when they respond to critical situations. And the great man theory examples include the torch bearers of the Indian independence movement, and from that is Lala Rajpat Rai to Annie Besant, various leaders, those who have been championed the nation's cause is there. So, these are the people who great leaders when there is a need. So, there was a demand of that environment, that situation, that particular timings, there where that is the where they have to perform. Somebody has to come forward and should prove that leadership, and therefore, this great man theory of leadership emerged during a time when society was ruled by the royal families and the aristocrats. and that is why there was a demand of this type of leaders was raised, and as a result of which you will find that is some of the earliest research only looks at a section of society. So, therefore, they have seen that is those who are from the royal families, how they have become the leaders, and they have seen those who are challenging these type of these systems. So, why they were the challenging leaders, and then they have converted into a successful leaders. So, the theory presents several limitations including the following: myths and assumptions with little logic to back it. So, there are certain myths and logic also, that is the whether the king's son will become the king. It does not consider the external environment situations that often influence human behavior and attitudes are there. So, there is not any guarantee that a person with all leadership qualities will eventually become a successful leader. So, even having the traits is there. So, for example, producer or writer is an important as a director to make a movie to a success. So, therefore, it ignores the contribution of others who drove a leader to success. So, here that is why when we are connecting the team effectiveness with the leadership, it becomes very important, that is the others contribution. Those who have contributed for that leaders as a team members, that is creating the success for a particular leader. So, interpersonal effectiveness. The interpersonal effectiveness is the capability of an individual to do this and influence others competently. These are the traits of the leaders are there. So, how we are developing this effectiveness? Effectiveness is developed with the ability of the person, that is about the knowledge, attitude, skills and habits, right. That is the what type of these knowledge level he is having, what type of attitude he is having, the skills he is having and the habits he is having. Then the commitment is there, and when we are talking about this commitment, then that is loyalty. Right. And here whenever we are creating this commitment amongst the team members, definitely effectiveness has to be there. And the third one is about the ability is there. So, this is the third element of the interpersonal effectiveness, that is the are you aware. If you are aware about the surroundings, if you are aware about the environment, you are aware about the people, those who are working with you, and the people those who are working with you, if they are equally competent enough, then definitely they will be able to perform. Here we will find that is this awareness is a state of consciousness is there, and why? Why some people consciousness means why there are some people those who are with the surroundings and they are able to sensitize. The sensitivity of the individual is different, and from individual to individual it is different. So, in the same environment, right, you will find even same family, you will find it is the eldest child is having the more sensitivity as compared to the younger child. So, therefore, a state of consciousness is becoming the influencing the leadership quality. It is the ability to recognize yourself, others, events and situation in real time. Now this self awareness is becoming very important. If you are aware about your strengths and weaknesses, and you also know the strengths and weaknesses of others, then only you can create a team. It is a development process that is a function of experience, communication, self discovery and feedback is there. So, therefore, whatever the situation is there, and in that given situation how you are responded, so that is called as self discovery. If you are recovered yourself as a challenging taskmaster, as a leader, in the simple words you can say as a leader, then definitely you can lead your team. Another important point is about your experience. So, experience, what type of the experience do you have? If you have that experience to lead over the challenges, then definitely you will be more successful. Ability to learn and understand technical issues is the basis of our careers is there. So, I always emphasize on this, that is we have to be very careful to learning and understanding. And what is about technical issues? Technical issues here I would like to mention, that is about the job knowledge. So, whenever you are talking about the job knowledge, so that is becoming the learning and understanding the technical issues are there. If you are having the strong job knowledge, nobody can defeat you. Ability to lead is a function of influence, but these technical skills with the HR skills. And what is the influence? Influence is basically is HR skill. if you are good into the HR skill, so whatever job knowledge is there, you will be able to communicate and you will be able to resolve the conflicts also. So, because as a negotiator you will be successful, you know give and take. So, in the communication, whenever you are offering some services to other person and in return you are getting certain services, then that is the in this process if there is any conflict, you are able to resolve a particular conflict. Ability to solve problems and make decisions. So, therefore, in that case you will be able to make as I mentioned earlier in the previous session I have mentioned, who is a leader? Who provides the solutions to the problems. So, if you are able to solve the problems, then definitely you will be the great leader. As a member of a team, we influence others in a collaborative effort to find better ideas or to solve the problems are there. So, those collaborative efforts are to be made by the individuals and when they are connected with each other and then they are putting the joint efforts. Always the whenever we are talking about the leader is not that is alone, he is doing everything. Leader is always followed by the followers and that followers are his team members, and when the team members are strong, they are relevant, then definitely in that case he will be able to influence and then he will be able to solve the problems are there. The commitment for leaders is that is the once committed always committed. So, one thing that leads to maturity is the fully aware negotiation recognition that one's decision make a difference both positively and negatively in the lives of others is there. So, therefore, what is the maturity level? We also talked the maturity level in the case of the Hirsch and Blanchard's model, and where we are talking about the maturity level of the followers, that what maturity level is there. If you are fully aware about the maturity level of your followers, then definitely you can take a decision and that decision will be having the both the positive and negatives in the lives of the others. So, if the maturity level is low, then definitely in that case what you will do, that you will be getting the more efforts to raise the maturity level, or if it is the negative is there, you will take the decision accordingly. Any attempt to solve a problem might have a decided negative impact on some while helping others is there. This is always a the criteria, right. That is the whenever you are solving the problem, it will have the positive effect on one side and negative effect on the other side. So, whether to take a decision or not, yes, we are supposed to take the decision, but how then this decision is making the difference? Decision is that those who are non-contributors, they will be the negative effect, and those who are the positive contributor, then it should have the positive effect on that. So, what are the different leadership attributes are there which causing a person to be successful? So, inner or personal qualities that is the constitutes effective leadership is there, and that is the internality. Internality is required to be very strong. These attributes include a large array of the characteristics such as value, character, motives, habits, traits, styles, behavior and skills are there. So, you have to focus on the value system of the leader. Why? Because he is driven by his values. So, effective leaders utilize different ways to lead a group. Some maintain a low profile, but are analytical. Some are charismatic and intuitive. There is no single leadership attribute that is the effective in all situations. The effectiveness of a leadership style depends on the nature of situation which it faces, and that is why we have studied earlier that situational theories. So, according to situation theories, you have to adopt the leadership styles. So, leader has to be flexible. Leadership will not be the common for all. As the situation changes, the leadership style will changes. So, first and foremost the leadership attribute is the guiding the vision, because ultimately what is the leadership? Leadership is the creation of vision. So, effective leaders know what they want to do and have the strength of character to pursue their objectives in the face of opposition and in spite of failures. So, therefore, it is leaders are very clear. What their vision is very clear, goal is very clear, that what they want to do. So, you will not find them they are confused or they are lacking into the performance, because they know after this step what will be going to be the next step is there. So, have the strength of character to pursue their objectives in the face of opposition. So, even if there is an opposition for making their new movements, what will be what is their strength? Strength is of their character. So, nobody can tell them. The effective leader establishes the achievable goals. This is also very important, that is the goals. When you are driving the followers should feel that yes, they can achieve the goals. If it is impossible goals are there, then definitely the followers motivation will be low. Second is the passion. Effective leaders believe passionately in their goals. They have a positive outlook on how they are and they love what they do. Their passion for life is a guiding star for others to follow because they radiate the promise is there, and therefore in that case the passion, that is the love for that goal, that is very important. It is not the official burden, rather than it is the individual's passion is important, and when the individual is having that passion, he will be definitely follow that particular goal till it is not achieved. Integrity, because they know who they are. Effective leaders are also aware of their weaknesses. They only make promises they can follow through on, and this is very important. I have learned from my first experience in the Hukumchand mill, where I was labor officer. My boss told me that is say yes if it is possible, say no even if it is the more problematic. So, therefore, when you are interacting with the unions or the workers and or any employee who is having the demand, and then you feel that is no, you cannot fulfill the demand, and then you have to say the no, then in that case say no. It is not that is the we are manipulating or we are playing politics and then we say yes, do not do that. Trust is there, effective leaders earn the trust of their followers and act on behalf of their followers. Honesty, an aura of honesty in both their professional and their personal life. The people understand how much honest you are, people are working with you. So, therefore, they will understand, they know whether your decisions, they are analyzing your decisions. So, they understand whether your decisions are the properly the based on the honesty and integrity, or it is not based on the honesty and integrity. So, when you are taking a decision which is not based on the honesty and integrity, then you will lose the trust. The another leadership attributes are the dedication is there. In the case of the effective leader is dedicated to his or her charge and will work assiduously on behalf of those following. The leader gives himself or herself entirely to the task when it is necessary, and therefore, in that case it is 100% dedication is there. Charismatic leadership, we have talked about the charismatic, transformational and transactional leadership is there. This may be the one attribute that is the most difficult to cultivate. It conveys maturity, respect for your followers, compassion, a fine sense of humor and a love of humanity is there. And the result is that leaders have the capability to motivate people to excel, and this is a very important. What charisma is required, that one can do the X type up to the X limit of the job, but when the leader is with him, he make the extended work to the wide level of the jobs. So, that is the charisma is there. Listening is there, leaders listen, this is the most important attribute of all, and listen to your followers is there. And therefore, in that case because many times what happens, no, that is the leader is in one direction, he is working on one direction, and the people those who are working with him, especially the followers means are his team members, they face different problems which are not seen or they are not experienced, the followers are not experienced for this type of problems. So, what they want? And they want to communicate, with the boss and identify the solution. If the boss is that much effective, then definitely in that case he will listen and then he will understand and then he will try to identify the solution to the problems. The leader should have the core self evaluation, what he can do, what he cannot, represents a fundamental assessment that people make about their worthiness and their competencies there. So, one should very clear about the competency of own, whether he is competent for doing that job or he is not competent for doing that particular job is there. So, many times people occupy the position knowing they do not have the competence. If they are not aware, that is fine, but if they are aware and still they are that they are not competent and occupying the position, that is wrong. People who have positive core of self evaluations like themselves and see themselves as effective, capable and in control of their environment, then definitely then they should be taking care of this team to lead ahead to achieve the goal. High order concept indicated by the self esteem, locus of control, self efficacy and neuroticism is there, that is the emotional stability is there. So, therefore, in that case high order concept are the self esteem, and we have done the number of exercises, and then we have find that is many people they are competent enough, but they are having the low self esteem. So, you will find that is like the Robbins book is given, and then you can identify your score, and on basis of the score you can judge whether you are these all personality traits, whether you are having with you or you are scoring less. If you are scoring less as a leader, then you can develop that through the training programs. Self monitoring refers to an individual's ability to adjust his or her behavior to external situation factor is there, and that flexibility, tune up oneself with the external and situations are there, that flexibility is there. Individuals high in self monitoring show considerable adaptability in adjusting their behavior to external situation factor is there. So, if somebody is high in the self monitoring, then definitely he will be great adaptable, having the great adaptability also. Highly sensitive to external cues and can behave differently in different situations, flexibility, sometimes presenting striking contradictions between their public persona and their private self is there, and there might be that is a challenging. Low self monitors cannot disguise themselves in that way, they tend to display their true disposition and attitudes in every situation. Hence, there is a high behavior consistency between who they are and what they do. And therefore, in that case it is whenever we are talking about the self monitoring, it is the ability to adjust his or her behavior, and when here when there is a problem or issues are there, then the high behavioral consistency will be shown by the leader, because he is able to manage internally and externally what is expected from him. Leaders are always having these proactive personality. This is a very strong the attribute of the leadership. Proactive personality identify the opportunities, show initiative, take action and persevere until the meaningful change occurs. So, whatever the change they want to bring, they will pursue it unless and until it is done. Compared to others who passively react to the situations. Sometimes what happens? We want to achieve certain goals, and there are the barriers, there are the oppositions. What people do? A normal person will leave that particular target, but the leaders are the person who pursue, still they pursue. Proactive create position change in their environment regardless of or even in spite of constraints or obstacles. Not surprisingly, they have many desirable behaviors that are organizational covet, and they are more likely to than others to be seen as leaders and to act as a change agents are there, and therefore, in that case those who are proactive they are having the roadmap to go ahead. Proactive individuals are more likely to be satisfied with work and help others more with their task. So, they are very helpful for the achievement of the goal, largely because they build more relationship with others. Proactives are also more likely to challenge the status quo or voice their displeasure when situations are not into their liking, and therefore, in that case it is not like this they will be yes boss, they will raise the voice also. The leadership attributes are the role model, that is the life values led by the examples, they demonstrate the integrity, support the people and be charismatic and energized, keep learning, and therefore, these traits they becoming the attribute for the leadership for the others. Inspirer, they create an inspiring vision and set directions, direct emotions, energize people, and they encourage risk taking and the experimentation is there. There are the enablers conditions are there for the human capital creation, help people grow, empower others, build teams and collaborative relationships, and the leverage diversity, build synergies are there. The achievers are focused on results, be persistent, discover and pursue opportunities, lead change and learn from the feedback is there. So, therefore, whenever we are talking about the leadership attributes, these are four dimensions: role model, inspirer, enabler and the achiever. All these dimensions they have to focus on. As the leader is developing and growing into the organization, and when slowly and slowly he has been recognized into the organization, then definitely he will be having the high achievements, and whenever there will be a high achievements will be there, it will be the very highly inspiring and becoming the role model. So, sometimes what happens when he joins, in the attributes he finds that there are the certain other role models are there, and then he work for with those role models, and otherwise he will be having that particular becoming he himself as a role model. So, leadership requirements, Army's definition of leadership is there, that is the character, presence, intellect, achieves, develops, and the leads are there. So, leadership is the activity of influencing people by providing the purpose, direction and motivation, and therefore, in that case you will find that is the what they know, and characters and the presence is there. So, attributes and the competencies are there. So, these attributes that to influence the people, that what type of these value systems, as I mentioned earlier, and their warrior and ethos are there. Their presence is the professional, and therefore, bearing the fitness, confidence and the resilience is there by the just like the army leaders. Intellect is there, mental then agility, judgment, innovation and interpersonal texts are there, as we have seen. And they achieves. So, that great results anticipates and integrates, that is the competencies are there. In the competencies they are the achievers are there, which they develop themselves with a very positive environment, and leads the others, building the trust, extend influence and leads by the example themselves. So, these character attributes, then the presence attributes and the intellectual attributes are there. So, these empathy, warrior, ethos, discipline, as we have seen in the previous slide. So, these will be the character attributes are there. Now you see that is these particular character attributes that has to be supported by the presence of attributes are there, that is the confidence, fitness and resilience. The intellect attribute will be the mental agility of innovation, interpersonal tech, sound judgment and expertise. Dear friends, what I want to mention here is this, that is these are these attributes. Can we develop these attributes? Yes, we can develop these attributes, sooner the better. So, once you know that these are the attributes which we are making you the successful leaders, I will suggest you that is the follow this model and this information and try to be the leader of your own. And whenever you will become the leader of your own, then definitely these efforts made by these the authors for the mentioning about the character, presence and intellectual attributes, all three, and then they will be combining and they will giving you the effective leadership is there. The competencies categories of the leadership requirements model will be that is about the leads the competencies, leading the others, extend the influence beyond the chain of the command, and then the build the trust is there. Now always it has been mentioned that is about here that we have to lead by the examples is becoming very important. The develop competencies are there, creates a positive environment, develop others and stewards the profession is there. The achieves the competencies, that is the gets the results is the single achieves competency and relates to actions of leading to accomplished tasks and missions on time and to standard is there. So, ultimately what is important is that achieving. So, leading, developing and the achieving competencies, unless and until we do not achieve the competencies, it will not be the giving any results. As usual, we will talk about the case study, Samsung leadership development model. The Samsung have an ambitious and challenging strategy. They are moving from a functional brand to an aspirational brand to achieve exponential sales growth. A key element of this strategy is the new world leadership, and the people who can thrive in culture of perpetual crisis, remain agile, execute with speed and innovate in all that they do. Leaders who can deliver through people and teams and work across silos in a global context. Now, this is always been focused, that is the leaders who can deliver with the help of the team, by leading the team is there. A tailored leadership journey for all European leaders. The aim is to ensure that the right leadership capability is in place to achieve their ambitions in the 2021 vision is there. And you have worked in partnership with the European Learning and Development team to create a set of leading edge leadership programs and they deliver outstanding results. As part of the European talent management programs, we developed 3 programs mapped to their leadership pipeline. These are supported by the European HR business partners to ensure on an ongoing personalized leadership development journey is there. So, in case of the podium program, the senior leaders who lead companies or functions, accelerator program, middle managers of departments and functions who manage managers, and launch program, that is the first time leadership role moving to the getting results through the teams are there. So, in this case study we find that is these leadership competencies, leadership podium program, leadership accelerator program and leadership launch programs are there. Whenever you are having this type of the competency domain, whether it is a leadership or the business strategy is there, you can find out whether the person as a leadership competencies as a role as a leader is there or not, and these are the points which we have talked about, especially the self awareness and development, or he is having the authentic leadership style, right. If he has that, then definitely in that case he can work as a role as a leader manager, or the coach Samsung leadership pipeline is there, and the leadership launch program is there, that is the authentic leadership style continues to be development. The business strategies are environmental change according to the environment, vision and strategy is thinking skills, and business opportunities for the innovation and change is there. The competency domains are there, which are the business operations, again on these all the 3-4 parameters are there. So, that the competency domain for the leader will be the business operations, unless and until you will find that is the leader, if he does not have the competency to run that particular the project, then he will not be successful. So, he has to make these changes in the team also if you want to accelerate his growth of the project. Leading others, that is high performing team, he has to create the high performing teams, developing individuals and motivating and inspiring. Here whenever we are talking about the accelerator, how to accelerate this program, then what we learn from this case study is that is build the high performing team, coaching skills, motivating and inspiring others are there. Here the last point is very important, that is the personal effectiveness in this slide, that is about the relation, collaboration and the trust. Unless and until there is not a personal effectiveness, then it will not be successful. The effective decision, impact and influence will be important. So, here these building trust, right, that will create the more and more about the personal effectiveness is there. As usual you will find this is the research paper, the effects of the core self evaluations and transformational leadership on organizational commitment. Transformational leaderships are there, supervisors, organizational committee is there, and here you will find that methodologies is about the global 500 companies in Korea. And the core, what is the finding? Finding is core self evaluations and transformational leadership positively influence the employees' organizational commitment. So, therefore, in that case if the leaders are with the transformational leadership style, they will be able to create the commitment of the employees for the organization. In terms of the effect size, organizational commitment was more related to the transformational leadership than the core self evaluations is there. So, therefore, it is the leader's responsibility to be having the transformational leadership for the creating of the employees' organizational commitment is there. Leaders articulated the vision and they promoted the group goals and provided the intellectual stimulations, then they are able to create that particular employee organizational commitment. Since core self evaluations tend to be stable over time, HR professionals need to recruit and select those with higher core self evaluation. HR and OD professionals can help managers change their leadership in a transformative fashion. So, the message is here is that the current situation, the leaders are required to develop the transformational leadership style, relating training programs and developmental relationships such as the coaching and mentoring is there. The books which are referred for this particular sessions is that is about the spirit leadership, that is by the Miles Monroe is there, and the here you were born to lead. Then the contrary to popular opinion, leadership is not meant for an elite group of people, right. So, therefore, every person possesses the potential of leadership. This is the very big statement, and in the spirit of leadership Monroe defines the unique attitudes that all effective leaders exhibit, explain how to eliminate hindrances to your leadership abilities and helps you to fulfill your particular calling in life is there. So, these are the certain references for your further readings which you can refer and develop the more concept as per your convenience. this is all about, that is leadership attributes, and I am sure by adopting these leadership attributes you will be having the successful leadership. Thank you.